28-year-old opposition activist Makomborero Haruzivishe has been sentenced to 14 months in jail for inciting public violence by a Zimbabwean court on Tuesday. Defense lawyers say Haruzivishe was convicted last week on circumstantial evidence, and the MDC Alliance claimed he's a victim of political persecution. To tell us more on this story, we are joined by attorney at Mtetwa Nyambirai Legal Practitioners, Coltart. Doug, good to have you back on the line. Take us through #Free Mako political campaign, please.
Yeah, so Makomborero was convicted on two charges, one on inciting public violence and the other of resisting a police officer. Now, the reason why there's been so much pushback against these convictions is, as you mentioned, circumstantial evidence. But when you dig into it a bit deeper, it's quite absurd. The inciting public violence charge was entirely premised on the allegation that Makomborero whistled, and as a result of this whistle, unknown people who were never identified or brought before the court engaged in some form of public violence of which no evidence was produced before the court of any damage to property, anyone who had been injured. That's the inciting public violence charge. The resisting arrest charge is even more absurd because the police officer whose arrest he supposedly resisted testified that he wasn't even the one who arrested him, and the officer who arrested him never testified in court. So it's extremely concerning seeing these types of convictions with really no evidence whatsoever. And to us as human rights lawyers who are handling a lot of these types of cases, it really seems like an escalation in the weaponization of the criminal law. The criminal law has been weaponized in Zimbabwe for a long time, but it's primarily been used to tie people up in long court proceedings, and ultimately people are acquitted when there's, as in this case, no evidence linking them to any offense. But this conviction and imposition of quite a heavy custodial sentence is really quite a serious escalation. And so there's been a real campaign around as you mentioned, Free Mako. Mako is someone who has been at the forefront of solidarity campaigns for many other political activists, journalists, trade unionists, etc., who have been arrested. He has really demonstrated himself to stand in solidarity with others, and so I think there's a real groundswell of support for standing in solidarity with him.
Doug, what evidence is there that Mako actually whistled?
Well, all that the courts. Well, I should clarify. I'm not the lawyer who was directly handling that case, but from my conversations, with those who were involved in that trial, there's all that there has to go on is the word of a police officer saying that he whistled. But whether that's true or not, how a whistle, in the absence of any other evidence, can amount to incitement of public violence is anyone's guess.
Do you believe that the judiciary is somewhat captured? Because based on the allegations and the lack of evidence, according to what you're detailing, you would expect that he would have walked scot-free from the courts.
Look, I have to be careful how I answer your question because I'm an officer of the court who spends my days before our courts. But there is no doubt that there's a lot of concern around the independence of the judiciary. There has been a sustained attack on the independence of the judiciary by the executive for many years. And this is not the only incident where people have raised very serious and I believe valid concerns about the independence of the judiciary, and those issues haven't been resolved. If anything, they are being that lack of independence is being entrenched. Just last week, we saw a constitutional amendment pushed through Parliament which undermines the independence of the judiciary. There's another constitutional amendment in the pipeline, which we have word they're seeking to push through in the next month or so, which would further undermine the independence of the judiciary, giving more power to the president in the manner in which judges are appointed and whether they can stay on in their tenure after reaching retirement age. So these are all very serious concerns.
Doug, thank you kindly for speaking to us. Attorney at Mtetwa Nyambirai Legal Practitioners, Doug Coltart.